fond childhood memory. Oof.
A fond childhood memory.
To single out one.
Childhood.
My childhood was actually really fun.
I feel like my childhood was not that far away that I should not be able to remember.
Okay, I have to think. Hold on.
I have plenty because childhood was fun.
Not fun, but it's funny.
When I went to Wonderland. When I painted yesterday. What did you paint? The beach.
A fun childhood memory would have been when my mother brought home my first microphone as a birthday gift. And I was mesmerized by it. And I guess, that's why I'm a singer today. Oh God. Funny Mr. Caterpillar, where are you going? I was 4.
One of my earliest memories is singing the Teddy Bears Picnic in nursery school. I only remember one line from it, right? I remember the audience was there, we were on stage. I can't remember if they were props or whatever, but I definitely was skipping with some of the children and I was singing, "Today is the day the teddy bears have their picnic." That's all I remember.
Cousins.
Everybody coming over to a house, spending the night, playing games and whatnot. I was the baby anyways. I didn't know really what was going on. I remember us going to my grandparents' house and they were watching Scary Movie 2. I have no idea the jokes that was going on, but it was very sexual, very funny. I was just enjoying being there with them. It felt really nice to be there. And it had other moments where you're with your cousins as well, like stuff like that I really love. I would also like to do that with friends too, like just have a sleepover. That'd be fun.
When my cousins visited me, my whole family, and going to the beach with my granddad and my cousins and just eating bacon shark with them and chilling and swimming, being little.
I got to hang out with my cousins a lot, so like one of my favorite memories of when my cousins would come from away. I have some from New York and the UK and everything. So like when we would all come together and have like giant sleepovers, it was really fun. Like that's probably one of my fondest childhood memories.
I used to enjoy every vacation that we spent by my grandparents and on my mother's side, because all my cool cousins were from my mother's side. So every time we all meet by granny is always a fun time. It's one big room. All the beds are in one room, so everybody sleeps in the same room. So you talk till you fall asleep. And I used to enjoy it because that's the first time that in a long time we would get to catch up with each other is by granny. So whenever we go there, you get to hear about all these stories that happened from the past year or how much ever long we haven't seen each other. And you literally talk till the last person falls asleep. You hear people like getting more and more quiet until the room is completely silent and everybody's asleep. And to me, that's unmatched.
When I used to live by my cousins and we were convinced that we were the Cheetah Girls, but we didn't want to have the same name, so we called ourselves the Cheetah Birds. And we used to have like yard concerts and like charge them coins to come in their own yard. Yeah, and like go and sing like the Lizzie McGuire songs or like all of those like movie Disney Channel. Yeah. I was like very serious about it. We had rehearsals, so.
My family used to live like in Diego Martin on the main road. So we had like a yard, but it was kind of small. And one day my dad took me and my brothers to like an empty car park on a Sunday and like told us this was like a great big place to run around. And yeah, that was the best day.
Probably when I was 5 or 6, looking at those old, like black and white Indian movies with my aunt, like Vijayanthy Mala, and just thinking to myself, like, that is what I wanted to do.
The first one that comes to mind is my mother holding me. I was very young. I was probably like about 3 or 4. It might have been the first time that I went to the beach, and she was lifting me up and dipping me into the waves, and I was terrified, but it's still a fond memory because my mother was clearly enjoying herself.
When I was 8 years old, I kind of ran out of the house naked as a bone, and my mom came after me. That was a fun experience.
Reaching home, taking off my jersey, my shoes, and running outside bareback and playing with my friends. That was fun.
Probably Christmas time.
Christmas vacation.
Christmas.
Christmas.
I'm a big lover of Christmas. Usually our tradition is we'll wake up and we'll, if not go to mass, stay home, unwrap the presents, and then we'll have something to eat. After we have something to eat, everybody will just like disperse and take little naps. I feel like that in itself is like my favorite childhood memory.
Christmas time, I would always go by my friend Judah for Christmas, and we'll open gifts and that kind of stuff. Every Christmas, I'll spend Christmas by her. That's probably my fun childhood memory.
Christmas, or preparation for Christmas. We didn't have much, but my mom would always make the best out of whatever we had. So we did not have a Christmas tree, like a normal Christmas tree, but she like took a palm tree and like wrapped some lights around it and put our gifts under it. So, and I found that to be like so creative. I think that's my best childhood memory right now.
I have this one time, my mom loved to buy gifts for Christmas. And it had this teacup set that I really wanted. And I was the one to go shop for it, because like I was her right-hand man. And we went to go shopping, and I saw the teacups, and I was like, oh my gosh, mommy, I want this. She's like, no, you can't get it. And I was like, damn. And she bought it, and then she told me it was for my god sister, because she lives on the next street to me, right? So I'm like, why would you buy that for her? Like, she made me help wrap it and everything. I was like distraught. I was like, how could mommy betray me like this? Like, this is what I wanted. And then Christmas Day, I woke up, and it was mine. Yeah. Told me to mind my business, that's why.
I think I may have been 9 or 10, and my parents bought us, me and my brothers, bikes. And the Christmas that year, everything down, like, because it's an upstairs and downstairs house. And when we came downstairs, because we came downstairs like 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's just the Christmas tree in the corner, all the bikes there, then we had teddy bear, and it's just like that year was real good because gifts galore. So it was real amazing.
My sister had gotten a bike, and it's like 80s. So she trying to give me a two, so you'd say, put the kid on the side, drive them around. And we come into this corner, and she trying to turn, and she can't turn. So needless to say, we both end up inside the drain with the bike on top of the two of us now. Because the first time I end up on a bike, I end up in a drain. It wasn't my fault. It had nothing to do with me.
I feel like my childhood was not that far away that I should not be able to remember. Oh, okay. When I had my childhood home, I lived on like a residential street with a lot of other people whose parents used to work at UE. So we all used to like play outside every evening back in the days when it was safe to play outside in the evening, and we all had our own bicycles, and I think it was always older siblings versus younger siblings, and I was one of the older siblings. So we used to take chalk and make obstacle courses on the rough asphalt roads and get bruises and cuts and stuff and fall off our bikes into the drain and try to climb a tree and not make it. But yeah, I feel like it's several years of doing that as one fun childhood memory.
My dad, he used to carry my brother and I to ride around the savannah, which I guess was therapy for him, and we didn't know that at that point in time. And he used to allow me to ride down the hollows, and he would jog around on the other side and meet me on the other end. So this one time, my dad, my brother, and myself went. So he was with my brother, and they would race me down the hill and meet me at the end. But I wanted to be faster than them. Went on my little bicycle. I was probably before I was 10, so somewhere between 7 and 10. Riding down this hill with full speed. So studying them, didn't study the road, and hit a cliff thing. And I just remember the impact, and then waking up on the ground. And two of them were over me watching me like, you okay? You alright? I had no bruises, no cuts, nothing. My father was like, you're not going to tell your mother anything about this, right? I was like, nah. And it was a secret amongst the three of us for as long as I remember. We've never spoken about it since, but it was just a nice bonding moment. No, and I don't think I should ever tell.
There's so many, but honestly, any times with family, like my brother and I used to ride around the block, I would sit on the handlebars. Yeah, like
Real craziness, but we were good. We come out good, so we turned out fine, Mom. Yeah.
What springs to mind? Where I grew up in San Juan, Fable Village. If you walk down that Concord Road, you go to the very end, as the Sawa River runs back there. And one of my earliest childhood memories are actually running away from home any chance I got and going down by the river and going down the little hill. And I was throwing my bicycle somewhere on the side there, and it's kind of making my way to the bank and playing among the plants and throwing stones in the river. So it's my first real taste of freedom. And it was not just a separation from home life, but, you know, the beginning of my love of nature and being outside. So.
Anything that relates to my brother who passed away. There's one in particular where we were just sitting down having a conversation, and he was telling me about how he feels and how he wants to talk to my mom a little bit more. So that actually was something that was really special to me.
Christmas vacation in Tobago with my family. The first Christmas after my dad died. That was the last time we spent Christmas together as a family. So that was it was very nice. Even though it was like, it kind of sounds sad, but it was still a very nice moment.
Yo, I put all my childhood memories in a garbage bin, you know. I would say a fun childhood memory was when my family was always together. So we had like this thing where everybody would come to Granny's house on a Saturday, where I was living at one point in time. And we would cook and laugh and talk. That has not been the same for the past, let me say, 10 years. So that would be the best part of my childhood.
To be very honest, I've blocked out most of my childhood, so I don't have fun memories.
Oh, that's such a crazy question to ask right now. I look at Noah because I, for a long time, had like a really big like blackout of my childhood. And over the last year, being in a relationship with Noah, it has literally opened up and like unlocked childhood memories to me. And that's so crazy. One of the first ones that I unlocked was that my dad and I used to fish on the Shagaramas, like boardwalk. It wasn't a boardwalk then, but it was like just the corner there, and we would like fish with these little reels and stuff like that, and it was just these little red fish. I don't even think you can get fish there anymore because the water is so polluted, but that was like a really nice childhood memory that I literally unlocked.
I have lots of memories, but some of my favorites during childhood is playing by my grandmother and just wandering off by myself and just doing crazy things, especially behind my maternal grandmother's. I think in front of her house, she had like this big kind of hill, and what we would do, we'd take like palm leaves and we'll try to slide down, and that actually was a spot where I would stand on this mound of dirt and pick up a stick, and I'll be preaching to people and telling stories, and I just love the fact that my cousins would stand up there. I don't know if they were actually listening, but the fact of talking to people, I love that so much.
So my dad was from Grenada, and we used to go there very often when I was a child, probably like every year or every other year. He owned this piece of land with a beautiful like old school type of mansion looking type of house called Brandon Hall, right? And it just had like acres of cocoa trees, and it had a copper pool in the backyard, and everything was so peaceful in nature where it was, you know, because it was on an estate. And I just remember going there, you know, spending time there in Grenada and just being like at peace, you know, walking around, picking cocoa, sucking the seeds, and just like really enjoying that type of, you know, lifestyle or that type of energy, you know, that nature and stuff like that, you know. It's really beautiful.
I'd say catching fireflies at dusk with my family. That comes to mind.
This is a strange one. One of my favorite memories, and this is going to be very unusual. It was the first time I got to take a bison ride through the forest. It's because my mom is from Tamina. And what is interesting is that I was inside the bison with my brothers and sisters, and and the thing is that we're inside, but you're seeing this huge animal just passing you through the forest, places that you don't think you could pass, and you look up and you just see the forest just moving, above you. Yeah.
I remember we were the third to last group of students in Trinidad to do common entrance before it switched over to SCA. And our exam day, when it was over, we wanted to see Wild Wild West because Will Smith was in it. But somehow Wild Wild West was coupled with, because Matrix came out and Globe had a double feature, and we went to see the Matrix. And when I saw the Matrix at that age, I knew there were possibilities that I could create a whole world on this little camera, and you edit it and whatever, effects you would need. But you could create anything from art. And so I'm coupling fun memory with where I think the light bulb went off for me to be a more creative person. And that was a shame, because maybe I might have been better off as a scientist or an engineer doing this art shit. Oh, I could curse? Thank you. Art shit.
2002, give or take, Star Wars: The Clone Wars just came out, the first animated series. And at the time, I was still going to a babysitter, but the episodes were like 3 minutes long, so I couldn't have gotten from school to the babysitter enough time to see the episode. So I had to sit and convince my mother I was old enough to stay home alone. And the first time that I actually got to was just to sit down and watch 3 minutes of Star Wars. Yeah, that was the moment that I started to stay home. It was just so I could watch 3 minutes of Star Wars, and yeah, that
was a shame, because
changed
maybe I might
my
have been better off
whole
as a scientist
trajectory.
or an engineer.
I mean, I guess it would be growing up in the country. Everybody was very nice, very kind, very Trinbagonian, so I very much like kindness. Yeah. Pepper Village, Grand Couva.
When I was a child, probably I want to say I was 6. So Gold City used to have the arcade upstairs, Galactica, right? And they used to have these Barbie Jeeps. And I always wanted a Barbie Jeep, but Mommy never buy my Barbie Jeep. I was very upset about it, but that's okay. So what used to happen is you could pay to ride the Jeep around like a circuit, something, but I was too small. So my grandfather used to sit in it, and we used to ride the Jeep almost every Friday when we go in the mall. But if you could imagine, he's a very tall man. So he used to be like this in the Jeep just so that I could ride it. And that was awesome.